Jesus, what have I done?
You still playing with this beloved Supra of yours? What are you doing?
I'm doing the thing that Mighty Car Mods love to do. I'm just having a rake about and seeing what random Japanese death is left in it. That says roasting on it, so there's a pretty good chance that's actually like somebody from each. We've got a jack bag full of things. Luckily there's no lock and wheel nut keys on it, so I wasn't really panicking about that. This, by the way, I was shitting myself that we weren't going to have these. They are ridiculously expensive. Trimmings for the door.
Excellent. Is that Japanese cigarettes?
They are actually Japanese cigarettes. Wow. Is there a sell-by date on fags?
We'll find out when you smoke one. What's the worst that can happen?
I don't know. Death, cancer. Oh! I don't even...
How do you open? Smokey Nagata, by the way. You are now the Smokey O'Hara.
Smokey O'Hara. It says 10 on it.
It doesn't look like a 10 deck.
And yet it is a 20 deck, which is a bit weird.
Maybe 10 means 20 in Japanese.
Maybe. Let's see what Japanese fags look like. Oh, they're all whitey white.
Look at that! How exciting.
Welcome.
Hello, mate.
We have a Boss Hog and a Carnival Chris and one Supra now in the air. You'll notice the wheels are off because I didn't even bother filming this. The tyres are absolute toast, and let's be honest, I've never heard of the brand. So,
Well, I have, but they're awful budgets, so they are in the bin.
So they're away getting dealt with, and at the moment we're going to now, as it's in the air, do the big look around.
But we did appropriately take it for a wee test drive on its tyres and confirmed they are by doing a 3-point turn manoeuvre in one turn.
Should kind of recap here, this is the TTR, which means it has a few choice bits that the normal twin turbos don't come with. First and foremost, this, which looking at it, I'm not entirely sure if it's genuine or not, and the reason I say that is because the bumper at the back is a different colour, but it is at the front. Now, I'm not that genned up in these to know if that's correct or not. They maybe never came painted, but I've got a wee bit of damage on the slam panel here, or somebody's cut something out for it, but I'm not going to get too hung up on it.
Right, let's move on for the dodgy painted bumper and talk about what really matters.
Okay, so starting here, you'll see the word Blitz. I was worried about this intercooler being a bit knockoff, but it's definitely not. So that's good to know that that's correct. Moving back, there was a point on the MOT that the inner tie rods might be away.
Right, viewers, listen, all of this is very interesting, but let's see what really matters. Look at the condition of this thing.
Yeah, okay.
My Fiesta has more rust than this 21-year-old Supra.
1991.
No,
yeah.
no, wait a minute, it's not 21, it's 29-year-old Supra.
29-year-old, yeah. So yeah,
No, it's not, it's 31.
we are good at math.
We are, yeah, maths is our thing.
Key points to look at, the sill lines aren't even been jacked on, these are absolutely mint. A few bits in the floor obviously where this roll cage has been battered through it, but otherwise even like plastic clips unbroken, anywhere you would normally find.
And on that subject, this, I don't even know what this thing is, but every car I've ever seen it on, it is made of paper mache. It's intact and immaculate.
Yeah.
The straps that hold the fuel tank on are intact. I mean,
They're original as well, you can tell.
oh, there is a hole. I finally found a hole there.
Oh
dear.
Do you know what that is?
Water accumulation.
Yeah, that's because of the boot. Now we'll get to the boot shortly.
Aye. But that is literally the only dodgy bit of car on the entire car. Look at the rear subframe. I mean, I've never seen a car this good. I don't think cars come out of the factory this clean. Like,
yeah. The other point to note, having looked at a lot of the stuff now, this has clearly been used for drifting at some point. Its last iteration in Japan. Like, there's no drift dodginess on it. There's no shoddy bushes.
there's no hydraulic handbrake.
camber extension. It's stock. This is exactly what these should look like underneath.
Barring the fully welded in cage,
Yeah.
but
Oh, no,
yeah.
it's not welded in. It is bolted.
No, it's welded to the A-pillars, isn't it?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute as well. A few points that have been replaced. It's a new alternator. This has been
But I installed the circlip.
almost
Brilliant.
installed correctly. We'll sort that shortly. We'll add that to the list. But critically, we had to check this when it was out. This diff, as you can see, another wheel is a nice locky variety. So, big smiley face for the first point because this thing is not an absolute The other point to note, something I was worried about, on the sheet on the auction it said this used to be an auto converted to manual. Now, those who know Supras will know that there's a very easy way to convert a Supra to manual wrongly, and that's using the W58 box. It's not as strong as the 154, but having looked around here and checked it out, it's definitely had a 154 put in it. So that's promising, because if we do silly things to it, I'd like the box not to explode.
Even look at the arms, like it's just unbelievable.
But that kind of...
Yeah, that's where the good news ends.
let's bring it down, we'll have a look at some of the less.
Yes, unfortunately, the bodywork isn't brilliant. It does have a genuine carbon bonnet.
By all accounts, it's not the worst condition I've seen, but the paint all over is rough. You've got this sort of crazing nonsense. I don't know if it's been re-lacquered or just not really weathered too well. But yeah, so let's... You think you can buff that out, Chris?
Is this not meant to have a stupid animal in the front?
No.
Is that not Toyota?
The Supra is the only one that you just got told. Supra. Moving on to the bit that we're all kind of interested in when you're talking about Supra. Wow.
We really should have got a picture of JZ for this and done that overdone cliche meme. But we didn't.
Because we're not fucking idiots. But the rest, everything else under here looks pretty stock. Engine wise, the problem we've got is the electronics are frightening. So it's got a Gredi Profec B boost controller in it, which does not turn on. It's got numerous bits of f***y.
Wait a minute, if there's a boost control that doesn't turn on, how does it go like f***? Because it does go like f***.
I was like, I don't know. There's that's been blocked, that's good. I think I've got a suspicion what's happened is the boost controller predated the FCON 5 ECU. I think the ECUs make it go like f*** and the boost controls just lying there.
Well, I mean, forgive me for being, modern, but generally speaking, if there's a decent ECU, a boost control is completely
pointless.
pointless.
That's what I think's going on. But we'll need to diagnose that and get to the bottom of it, because there's a lot of just spurious nonsense under here that we probably don't need. But the
Body make Akioka!
Yeah.
You'll notice there's an absence of an ABS pump, which Tommy tells me is a pretty common occurrence with Japanese vehicles.
No, it's pretty common. Not these came with ABS, apart from the TTR, because it's R.
Race car!
Race car. They did away with ABS for reasons known unto themselves. I guess racy people like it. I would have preferred it.
Racing drivers, I guess, do. Aye.
The ABS not being there just makes it original, I guess.
It just makes Tommy have to be a f***ing man.
Big hairy bullets.
Yep.
So we've got the car up, we've had a good inspection of it, and who doesn't love a list? This will by and far not be the last list I'm going to have to do. But in what I think is order of importance, we know the car has a misfire, and you'll have wondered why we've not actually took it out and showed you it driving yet. Because it drives like a bag of shit that keeps cutting out. So I've got a funny feeling it's going to be coils. But while we're at it, it's going to get that addressed. We're going to have to do a service on it because I've no idea the history. And the fuel pump. Now we'll cycle back to that in a wee bit. Now for all you...
What is unwang?
Take the wang off.
What's the wang?
The big wang in the back.
Oh right, the wang.
Yeah, so JDM aficionados, yes, I'm sure the wang looks great, but it's not for me. So it's going to come off. We're going to have to address that at some point and unspoiler the spoiler in the back.
I'm glad you've got the boot 4 hole mentioned. It's not significant. But
well, it's the only bit of rust I found in the car. There is a wee inch hole with the tyre that would go in the back.
See, to be fair, it's not actually rust. It is literally a hole with defined edges. It's quite impressive. It's obviously rusted through and somebody's done something to it.
Yeah, but the reason I've put that on is because it also associates with the fuel pump. The tank lives right under where this hole is. I don't want to go welding, but if we're taking the tank out to do welding, we might as well make sure there's a decent high flow fuel pump in there. Tie rods in the front we're actually going to start on the now, because A, it's a cheap thing for you to get, and B, it's fairly simple to strip them off. Clutch, another issue. So whilst it was running like an absolute bag of sparrows, I did try and put it on boost and there was no drive. The clutch is gone. So,
peak boost, peak torque, it was just wee.
I had a feeling we're going to find something major on it. There's got to be a reason this thing hit Japan auctions.
But the truth be told, it's not the worst problem in the world. We've got a ram and a tram jack, and we'll get that done. It's
a stock clutch, isn't it? We had a look for the inspection panel, so we'll upgrade that for a fact. Driver's seat. Well, I'll cover this in a wee bit, but we tried to put fuel in it earlier on. We couldn't get the fuel filler cap open. I thought that's a bit weird. It's one of the wee ones with a lever underneath the driver, well, next to the driver's seat. Popped it from the inside because there's zero boot plastics in place, and I was like, this is odd, can't seem to work out why this wouldn't work. It's because the lever only goes half the way because the driver seat's in it. So I need to modify that.
Chrissy's also here.
Oh yeah. And
Paint wheels, yes.
we'll need to paint the wheels. The wheels aren't to my taste, but being that we're on budget and all of this stuff has to come first, I'm going to make do with them for a while.
So viewers, when I saw this car in the pictures, I really liked the wing, but what I didn't realise is it takes the place of a factory wing, so there's like a big hole. So I think we're getting rid of the wing and the windows kind of, yeah.
Oh.
We're going to be fixing this today.
Yeah, so I had a wee quick look off camera because we could go into town diagnosing this and it'd be a waste of time. The roots of all this is there's a hinge here and it's completely snapped. So as a result, this isn't actually attached on this side. So the solution to this for the interim is going to be we're going to take the boot lid off. I'm going to take the hinge off and try and re-weld it just to give it a temporary fix because obviously the boot lid needs far more work than that. But it means that it'll open and shut. We're also missing a gas strut on this side and I was like, oh, why is the gas strut off? It makes sense now. If the gas strut was on, it would actually push this side up because there's no hinge on it. So yeah.
Is the gas strut line in it?
It is, isn't it?
Excellent.
So we'll try it and see if it works. But only having one strut and this means that we're going to have to actually put a post in the back.
And we're probably not going to film this, viewers, because this weighs 800 tonnes and the three of us will need to... We'll maybe get a tripod out so that when we smash it, everybody can see it. So the wheels are back, temporary tyres because the tyres that were on it were A, stretched and B, rubbish. So see the excitement that is the installation of a wheel. And you can't see the holes. I can't find the hole!
Putting wheels on isn't very interesting. I've got the boot off, let's have a look at something a bit more technical. Come with me. Right, so I've got this hinge off and to be quite honest, it's not a good story. So what happened here is, as you can see, there should be two bolt holes there that hold on the actual boot and these go through the bodywork. Now that snapped, I thought, mint, I can just put some plate on that, weld it up. Unfortunately, the actual hinge itself is completely seized. Now, I've tried putting heat, I've tried putting WD-40, we've been at this a while. This is dead, completely dead. So I could go on eBay, and I probably will go on eBay and get a replacement hinge at some point, but it's actually quite simple to make a hinge if you want to do so. What we're going to do is replace all of this part in here and the hinge swivel assembly, and I'm going to try and keep this bracket. Maybe we'll be able to keep it, maybe we won't, but it'll just save a bit of fabrication if we can use the original U-clamp and put a new hinge on it. So first steps first, we're going to get this old part out, see if we can save the old part. Right, so I've taken this old part out. As you can see, there's a pin that goes through here and a pin that goes through here. And these are actually riveted, like just formed over the top to keep itself in place. The problem is, what I'm going to put on is this tube, and through this tube goes this bolt, which will allow it to swivel, and then we'll put a plate on here that will catch the boot. The problem I'm going to have, I think, is that bolt's a wee bit too wide to go through here without it losing all that strength. I'm going to rustle about and see if we can find potentially thicker tube, which can get a smaller bolt through it. Failing that, we might be starting from scratch completely, because I don't fancy that holding it out. We have just about finished the wheels, and I have just about finished my replacement fabricated hinge. Bolt, I've chopped down the original bracket and welded the bolt on. We've also put a knife of tube, and I've welded up a new plate for that. It's not going to be the most secure or rattle free, but it will allow the boot to open and close until I get a proper one. So, right, time for a boot lid.
Let's think ahead here.
Aye, we'll need many hands.
We need a triplet.
Yeah, you're better, yeah.
I'm there,
Yeah, you're the strongest.
no mate, it's always by far the strongest. He also
Well.
has to shit together. But I can manage everything. Mind I'm pumping the guns now at the gym, like.
Of course, I forgot about it.
We're going to need my plate a lot.
Right. Right.
Yep. Don't go too far into Tommy's ready because it'll be harder for you to hold it. You good? Check the panel down. tailgate correctly mounted.
Right, that'll sort of do it for now, I think. I know we've not covered a great amount of repair work in this episode, but really the key point for me in all of this was to see what I was actually working with, hence the big walk around at the start. You've got to remember, I bought this car more or less sight unseen based on the auction pictures from what I seen in Japan. Now, when BHP landed the car here, they did send me more pictures, and I'm not going to lie, they didn't paint a really good picture. But having went around all the car underneath, it's definitely got its plus points. It's just a bit of tidying really that it's going to need to get it to exactly where I want it. So I'm going to take that as a win. So we've got a list and we know what we're doing in episodes to come. So next time we're going to really start breaking the back of this. I want to make sure I can get it fired up, as I'm pretty sure by now you're sick of looking at the car without hearing it or seeing it run. So that's going to be my biggest priority, making this bad boy run. From then on, we're going to look at making sure it runs safely, i.e. suspension stuff. It's out in the road, it's not going to cause me a crash. And then after that, well, everything else really. But in the meantime, Patreon's running up the side of the screen. Massive thanks for your support. I promise we'll get back on a low cost soon. If you don't know less about, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. If you just found this because you like the idea of a Supra, there'll be more to come, so make sure you hit the subscribe, do the like thing, and share this to all of your other Supra pals because they might like it too. And until the next episode, guys, stay safe. It comes with its own genuine bonnet support.
The same one that used to keep the TVR open.
Fans will recognise this, yeah. But so, coil
Hold
red.
on a minute. Do you recognise this?